Okay, so we want to make the text readable, and to do so, we have to change the font used by the text. We can't just resize the box and have the text scale. Right now in Godot 3.1, 3.2 is the same. So we're going to see how to do it the right way, quote unquote. If you go to the file system and you look at the assets folder, you have two fonts prepared for you. Font default, font title. These are reusable resources that you can plug in any node. So for example, on the title here, you can go down the inspector to the custom fonts category and drag and drop your font default there. You might have seen that done in other tutorials, but this is not the correct way to set a default font, actually. You don't want to use the custom fonts for that. So I'm going to go back and deactivate the custom font. Instead, we are going to use a UI theme. So here I am in a more advanced version of the project to show you what themes are and what they do. I can apply a theme to any control node using the theme property. So a theme is a resource that you create in Godot, and when you apply it to one node, all the children, the entire tree of UI nodes, inherits from the properties of that theme. So you can then edit that theme to modify how the entire UI looks. For example, you can set a default font, and this is what we're going to do now. So coming back to our project, let's, in the inspector, use the Add Resource button. It's in the top left corner. Click that, and you want first to add a font. We're going to see how to create a text font. So you type font, and we want to use dynamic font. Create that. So this is the type of resource you use if you want to use a font like a OTF or TTF file, the kind of fonts that you can find on your system here, all these fonts that you have installed on your computer. You will need to go find the file, it depends on the operating system you are using, and put it in your Godot folder, or you can go download them from the internet. In here, for example, we have Montserrat from Google. And then, with your dynamic font resource open in the inspector, you want to expand the font category and click and drag your OTF, TTF file, either is fine, on the font data here. With that done, you can then change the size of the text by changing the size setting or property. It's in pixels, by the way, so if you do 24 pixels, it means that the letters will be 24 pixels high. With that done, you want to save your resource. So at the top of the inspector, you go to the save icon and click Save As. And we can then save it in our assets folder at the root of the project and call that your dynamic font. You don't have to create it. I just wanted to show you what the process is like. I'll save this one as our new dynamic font. From there, you want to create a theme. A theme is also a resource, so we're going to use the button in the inspector. Click on it, look for theme, and you should have only one resource to create that. Create that, and our theme, by default, displays at the bottom of the screen here, and it has only one slot to set the default font for our user interface. So you can then drag and drop your dynamic font.trs file and place it in the default font slot. And you should see the text updates in the bottom panel. This bottom panel, the theme panel, is just here to give you a preview of your UI theme. Then we'll see in the extended edition that you can use the edit theme menu to add more items to then start to change the style of the buttons, the distance between elements in your UI. So you can use that a bit like CSS in the web development world to style your user interface. Anyway, we're going to save that theme as our UI_theme theme.tres in our assets folder here. Click Save, and then select your main screen node, go to the theme at the bottom, and you want to click and drag your UI theme.tres into the theme slot. You should see the fonts change instantly. Now, the title itself went a little off to the right. We want to fix that. But as we saved our title, play button, and quit button as separate scenes, we want to open these scenes to go change the default property of our title here. So open it in the editor, and for our title, we want to make sure that it is aligned center. So the text is centered inside the box that you can see here. Then we want to create a new font, or rather use the font title that we created for you, the same way I showed you moments ago, and go down to Custom Fonts and click and drag the font title into the slot. I'm going to change the default text to title here, and again go to Layout, Center, or rather we're going to do Layout Center Top, so that the text position is relative to the top center of the screen or of the parent node. Save, go back to your main screen, and you should see the font changed. Then we want to do the same again, Layout Center Top, to reset the position of the node, and you can move it down by clicking and dragging with the Move tool selected or Select tool, then Shift to constrain to the Y-axis. And with that, we have our UI setup. We can move on to the code.